Welcome to the Building Web3 Podcast. Today, my good friend Rodrigo. He is the champ at H3at Studios. So tell us a little bit about what is H3at Studio. What do you guys do? You guys are working with some really big projects.
Yeah, so essentially, first of all, thanks so much for the opportunity, for the time being here. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. So within H3at Studios, we are a creative studio, and we help Web3 companies, projects, games, you name it, to elevate their entire audiovisual aspect, whether if that it's video content on the animation side or graphics, which can be, like social media graphics, illustrations, UI, UX, graphic design, branding, everything, and as well as videography, whether it's on the filming and editing side. So basically just a full 360 audiovisual creative studio, so to say.
And you guys are primarily focused on Web3, exclusively focused on Web3?
Exactly. So as of right now, we just want to focus on the Web3 business model. That's why we have the 3 instead of the E within the name of Heat. Because at the end of the day, the background of the founder and myself, we come from the traditional media. And when we found, the entire crypto and Web3 ecosystem, we just fell in love with it and want to, at the end of the day, right now, dominate the entire content industry within the space, because we know there's a lot of opportunity for everybody to grow there as well.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about like the content creation in Web3. I think most of my listeners will be obviously familiar with podcasts because you're listening on a podcast, and with Twitter, things that are more
Yes.
of a written medium. But talk to us a little bit about like the video aspects, because it's an area I don't see that much of, but you have a lot more experience.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, let's face it, we're a human visual species. We understand everything much more when we see something, not only when we read it, but when we actually see visually something. And once we open this, it's game over. At the end of the day, we live on a content driven economy, on an attention driven economy. Every new app, every new business wants to get as much attention from every user as possible, whether it's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, nowadays Twitter as well. And at the end of the day, why are we focusing our entire resources and time on that? Is because when a company wants to announce anything, wants to, at the end of the day, have much more user loyalty, you have to have visuals. Why? Because those visuals create feelings. Those visuals create understandings. And when a user understands something, relates to it, and actually feels something within themselves, there is when they can relate to the company, not only by saying, okay, this is a cool product, like I like the product, but I like the brand. I like the company. I like the values of what they stand for. And there is where you can see the user loyalty go up and up and up. And there is where you, at the end of the day, have a better ROI in terms of everything within the business model.
Yeah, talk to people a little bit about like who your customers are and what kind of success they've seen, like so that they can kind of visualize like what we're actually creating here.
Of course. So, like I said, right now we're just focused on Web3 companies and businesses. So, the first actually client that the studio worked with, that was at the time where I was still not involved with the studio, but it was actually Pudgy Penguins. I don't know if well, I'm sure everybody in here knows about Pudgy Penguins. The founder, Jordan, he used to work and live at the Pudgy house there in Miami for around 6 to 7 months and helped them with everything when it came to the videography side. So he helped them with shooting footage for all the things that they were doing on the daily side, but mostly focused on the product side when they actually released the physical toys. And there is where the studio got their first case study, whether it was on the videography side, but also on the animation side. H3at Studios actually developed the first trailer for Pudgy Penguins regarding the in real life the physical toys that they were started to sell on Amazon. And that first case study went actually pretty good because of out of all the footage sessions that they did plus the animations, within 24 hours they actually landed $500,000 in sales just on Amazon. And out of that then came the Walmart deal, where you can now find Pudgy Penguins on basically all Walmarts within the USA. And starting from there, a bunch of clients started to be acquired. The studio started to grow. Then I came in, I think like 5 months ago. So the studio was already like a year old. And now we also work with Magic Eden, which I know everybody's familiarized with. We develop all their gifts. So all the gifts that you see on the timeline from there come from us. Most of the illustrations as well. Most of the videos too. So we try to, like I said, to become not just a one service provider, like for one time only, but basically a content arm for projects. So that's two of the biggest work cases, but we also work with blockchains, for example, and ecosystems like Monad. They're an upcoming big blockchain. We're developing right now some trailers for them because they actually understand that for them to acquire like many users within their blockchain, they need to tell a story, and they already have a lot of characters. If I would go to my room, I would be able to show you like 10 fluffies that I have from Monad, from 10 different characters that they have. So it's good that they already had, like this character and mascots, like so to say, of an IP Pocket based. And then we come in and tell a story within, like, as a creative team, because we work with them very closely to develop a brief and for us to actually create emotions at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's quite curious. Like, obviously, I think most people are going to be familiar with the Pudgy case. Monad, obviously,
Yes.
the new kid on the block, and is
Yeah.
just incredible at marketing. Talk to us a
Yes.
little bit about like what kind of things you've seen both of those two case studies kind of do that was different from the rest of the Web3 ecosystem, and like what kind of things you feel like founders in crypto can look at them and be like, oh, I definitely need to emulate this.
So we know that crypto and blockchain is tech focused,
Mhm.
and we like to say that just because you're developing tech, it doesn't mean that you cannot look premium, first of all, and that you cannot tell a story. Why? Because at the end of the day, storytelling is the most useful tool for you to, at the end of the day, attract somebody. Like if you go ahead and pitch somebody or explain somebody about Monad, just like within the technical stuff, they would not care that much. But if you then involve a story when, like with characters, with visuals, with something that they can actually feel, there's when they can get engaged. So within Pudgy Penguins, that's a totally another different, so to say, project because it's an IP project. They're totally based on their characters, the storytelling. We see them on the daily on Instagram. My girlfriend sends me, I would say, 5 weekly videos of Pudgy Penguins, and they nail like perfectly the relationship status videos, so to say, going
Mhm.
out of Web3 and just focusing on the typical Web2 animation side, because they know that at the end of the day, for them to acquire new users as well as Monad, they need to tell stories. And I think that's one of the key points that a lot of founders are missing within Web3, because most of them are developing tech, yes, but you can also integrate any type of storytelling for you to be able to explain your product in an easier way, in a more digestible way, and for you to also evoke emotions. Because when you get that, there's when you actually start to see loyalty. There's where you actually start to see users say, I just do not fuck with the product or with the tech that they're doing, but I fuck with the brand, I fuck with the company. So I think that's a little bit of what we see that's missing in the space, and that's what we like to hop in and help everybody.
Yeah, so let's take the Monad example because I think the Pudgy Penguins one will be less applicable to many crypto
Yes.
founders. So let's talk a little bit about like how you guys are using these like cute animal characters. I don't even know if they're animals. These cute characters to tell a story about Monad, because as far as I know, Monad is just a new layer one solution,
Exactly.
and like there pops up a new layer one every single day. But these guys are marketing experts. So talk to us a little bit about how you like create a story. Do people need characters?
So they like with them, it has been amazing because they actually are a very very creative team. They have a lot of like creative talent within their team members, and they actually are very good on, you know, actually being able to tell a story about tech, but not in like not, like never saying a word about tech. So right now we're developing. It's gonna we're developing their DevNet video. So when no testnet, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, testnet. So at the end of the day, it's a story about how one of their characters is trying to go from one side to the other. You know, from like a DevNet to a testnet, so to say. And he's trying to cross from one side to the other, trying to make a huge jump inside a motorcycle where there's a coliseum, and then the like every single other character that they have is like there, which at the end of the day it's their users, and they want to see like how big actually this new net is. So they're all very engaged and see how this character can actually cross from one side to the other, and that like symbolizes of going from like testnet to devnet, but not like never saying anything like tech wise, but just focused on the feelings that they're trying to evoke, but with symbological ways, so to say. And at the end, you say they're marketing geniuses, and that's why they have developed these characters. Because right now, like last week, I was in Singapore, and you would see in the whole city a lot of fluffies of them. You would see a lot of people rocking the merch with them, with the characters. A lot of side bags around like the entire IP, but never like in a tech wise way. Always in like an character IP, so to say, way. But at the end, they're tech. They're fully L1, and they totally nail that narrative. And at the end, we're just working in a collaborative way, but it's mainly because of how good their creative team is.
Yeah, to me, it's really curious because I wonder how successful their project would be. I mean, their marketing's off the charts, but if they're still like not launching like a test net, they're definitely starting behind in terms of getting developers. But I would say their marketing is to be believed. We had Pancakes Bra on here, and he talked all about like how their like intern system, how essentially they built their community, is just really really impressive. In terms of, so we talk about like, hey, sometimes the tech is very boring. How would you recommend companies kind of approach video? We talked about like storytelling being very important, but let's say you're like a DeFi project working on intents and account abstraction. Those aren't always like the things that people get like excited
Excited
about.
about,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So how do you recommend people kind of go about like crafting a story and narrative around their brand?
That's a good question, and I would say there is where you actually see like the community, like if there's an actual community. So there is where you can actually take, like community histories that have happened, or things that have happened within like along the way of the project that has shaped the community, like inside jokes, like anything that is already relatable with the community. That's where you need to be focused on, because at the end of the day, we know the community is always why why you're successful. The community is always why you are where you are. So in that way, in my opinion, it would be the best to honor that and to continue to level up that community by integrating stories that have actually happened within the telegrams, the Discord servers, some inside jokes within the Twitter posts, so to say. Take those little things that have happened within the community alongside the journey of the project, and turn that into a story. Turn that into something that they can say, I remember when that happened. I was there when that thing happened within the Discord server. I was there when that happened within the voice chat, etc., etc., or within any of the events around the globe, whether it's on NFT NYC, Token 2049, Breakpoint, anything that is relatable to the community is where you need to focus yourself on, in my opinion.
Mhm. And in terms of like videos, do you think long form works, like posted on YouTube or on Twitter, or is it like Pudgy Penguins? We really like that, like Web2. We like the Instagram shorts. Like, talk to us a little bit about the types of content now that we have kind of like the framework, like, hey, we got to tell stories, even if it's just about our own personal community.
So here, it does matter if you're a tech focused project or an IP. If you're an IP, I would say right now it's the very, like, one of the best approaches is like to do it like Pudgy Penguins, where you can actually create videos that are relatable to a certain niche. For example, Pudgy Penguins, they master the relationship based videos. So that's a very good strategy. If you are, like, for example, a sports project, you can take a lot of sports narratives, and turn that into like 10 to 15-second videos. But if you're a tech company, I would say focus on, first of all, the community aspect, and second of all, how the community uses that tech for you to develop that video. But if you're an IP focus based, definitely recommend as well the Giphy strategy, because at the end of the day, GIFs are being used in every single social media, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp, Discord. You can use GIFs all the time. For example, my dad sends me Pudgy Penguin GIFs, and he has no idea that it's a Web3 and NFT project, but he just finds, within the WhatsApp app, some gifs about, I don't know, like family dinner or something like that. And he sees this cute little cute little penguins there, and he just sends it into the family group chat. And when the time comes when they actually go much more global and mainstream, and when he actually recognizes it, he'll be able to say, I've been seeing those penguins for a long, long time. I've been using those GIFs for a long, long time. I have been interacting with their IP for a long, long time. So I think not a lot of projects are focused on that. And we're proud to say that right now, for example, Magic Eden, we're working with them on developing exactly that. We're doing all of their gifts because they understand that for them, they have this very little cute and incredible character, which is Emmy. And I don't know if, and for example, I don't know if a lot of people know, but the word Emmy comes from M-E, from Magic Eden. So M-E in one word is Emmy. So there you have this very cute character where you can develop a lot of gifts from, for people to actually be able to use them, and not being like inside Web3, because you can use them, like I said, on WhatsApp, Discord, Telegram, Instagram, TikTok, and you do not have to know what it is about, but you just have to say, this is cute, I like this. So that's a different approach that I would say people or projects IP wise most focused on.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Monad, you could think, kind of crossed this chasm where they had the very serious tech project, and similar to what you were mentioning about Magic Eden, and then they made. Do you recommend people, like, let's say we're starting a new, me and Rodrigo, we're going to start, Jax protocol, or like Jax and H3at Studio protocol. Should we be making a funny character to go along with this?
Yes, 100%, because there is where you give the community, like the entire crypto community, something where they can relate themselves to, something that they can say, I find a little bit of that in me. Like, I find a little bit of that cuteness in me, or a little bit of that silliness in me, or a little bit of that degen in me, within the stories that this character actually is able to, develop within the animations. And there is where you can be able to create not the typical, so to say, merch where you just have the logo here and that's it, but you can actually build an entire product based around that. And there is where you only do not say, I really like this protocol because of the tech behind it, but I can have a fluffy behind me and it's tech wise, but that means that I'm loyal to the brand, not only to the protocol itself. And there is where I can be able to continue to use it, and not only use it, but recommend it in a higher level for you to acquire many more users at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And then Is it pretty much all animations, or do you like help founders with crafting like their narrative? So like if the Monad CEO goes on, a video podcast, are you guys helping them with like crafting the narrative, or talk to us a
Yeah,
little bit about like,
so like I said at the beginning, we're just not focused as a creative studio. We cannot just put ourselves in one single box.
Mhm.
That it's just animations. At the end, that's our main focus because that's what we enjoy to do the most. To be completely honest, because there's where we actually get to create life, so to say. We have a character and we get to bring it to life. And there's where we can actually create more and more emotions. And that's what we like to do within Hit Studios. But at the end of the day, we're also, as the content arm for projects, we must be able to produce not only videos, but also brandings, like the entire brand aspect of a project, the website, the UI, UX, illustrations, graphic designs, if they have events, videography, filming, editing, anything that you can think of audio visual, we
Mhm.
can take care fully control of it, because we know that it is very difficult to put all your energy into building a dope IP, a dope a S tier product, and also focus your resources and energy and time in creating content that actually matches the level of the product. Either you have a massive team, or you just focus on the building. And we like to say that we let you build and we create the content for you.
Mhm. So let's imagine, and we'll go back to the example of me running my own
Mhm.
protocol. So let's imagine a Jax protocol comes to you. They're very similar to something like Aave. Talk to us a little bit about like how you work with a client from like the very beginning into actually like distributing some of the videos.
Okay, so here's why, for example, I switched to a Web3 company. I used to work at a traditional Web2 animation studio, and the way that it works there is you as a project handle that, like you handle them a brief with, I don't know, a script or specifications of we need X amount of videos, X amount of graphics, etc., etc. They go ahead and ask you a couple of questions for them to clear out the whole brief. Once they have the full info, they say okay. They go ahead, disappear for like 3 4 5 weeks, and then they come back to you with the final products, and that's it. Very informal, like nothing collaborative way. And what we like to do is, we know that Web3 right now, because of the stage that it finds itself, because it's very new, it's in diapers. The more we work together, the better for everybody. So that's why we like to work in a collaborative way since day zero. And it's going to sound cliche and a little bit cheesy, but we also like to say that the blockchain is not the only transparent thing in here, but the way we operate as well. So we create a Notion portal for each client, each partner that we have, for us to give them full transparency 24/7, 365 days of the year, full access to everything that we're developing for them, whether it's the animations, the illustrations, videos, anything, for them to be able to give feedback on a daily basis, 24/7, for them to also be involved in that creative process. We hop on a few weekly syncs, we extract the information of the goals, needs, and stage where the company and or project finds itself, and we build out content pipelines on monthly sprints, basically. So that can be 3 videos, 10 graphics, 50 GIFs a month. And we handle them this Notion portal where they can see everything, whether it's on the pre production side, production, or post production, for them to be able to say, okay, we have 3 videos right now going. Let me check video number one. Okay, I want to change this. I'll type it up for us to handling to open the doors of the studio, so to say, because the way that we like to work is we integrate our creative team and our operational team into the team of our clients, because in that way it doesn't feel like an outsider. In that way it feels like you got like the client or the partner, they're gaining like a 10, like they're gaining 10 team members more. They're gaining animators, illustrators as part of their team, for them to be able to be as collaborative, as creative as they can be. Because if them, the client, like if they do not feel that video themselves since day zero, the users when they see that on the timeline are not going to feel it. So the more personal, so to say, we like to work in that level, and the more open we like to be, transparent, so to say, because we are in the blockchain ecosystem, the better we work for everybody. So that's how we like to work. So you handle us a brief, we hop on a few on weekly syncs. You have full control and access to everything on a 24/7 basis, and for us to be working as just one single team, and for you to get to go as creative and nuts as possible.
Perfect. And I'm sure many people are going to be listening to this like, wow, I really need to get my own gifts. I really need to get my own videos. Talk to them a little bit about how they can get in touch with you guys if they want to work with you all.
Of course. So there's many ways. So there's the website, heatstudios.io. There on the very bottom of the page, you can, send us a message there. Twitter, Heat Studios, just as simple. Or on LinkedIn as well, at Heat Studios. Or my personal Telegram, it's Trinkster97, which is also my Twitter account. So any way, please, if you want to develop something out of the ordinary, if you really want to evoke emotions, create stories that resembles within the entire crypto audience, for you guys to expand yourselves and your minds, your creativity, more than happy to help you guys all the way along.
Awesome. Well, everyone, go get involved with Rodrigo, go get involved with Heat Studio, and let's continue building the future of Web3.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it a lot, Jack.